Let's say we have a working days calendar defined in our system settings, and we want to use it in a form rule. For example, users select the date on the form, and we want to make sure that this date is not a weekend or other non-working day. The working days calendar, like all things, is stored in the database, specifically this table. While we cannot query the database directly from a form rule, we can do so from a business rule. To avoid querying the entire database, let's isolate this calendars table using an MS SQL data source. I'm just going to go ahead and select all the columns, but I really want these two. One that contains the dates and the other Boolean column that indicates whether it is a working day or not. With the data source prepared, the next step is to create a business rule that will get stuff from it. Specifically, I will do this using the data source value function. I will enter the function's configuration by clicking on the edit button. It's this circle with 3 dots. Inside the function, I select the data source that we will query and create the expression. The user will choose some date on the form, and we want to pass it on to this business rule so it can check it. In this case, we can use a parameter to represent this form field for now, and this date will be found in the data source in the working date column. So the business rule will attempt to match the entered date with one found in the working date column. Once it finds it, I want it to return whatever it finds in the is working day column. This is a checkbox which informs us whether the day is a working day or not. Make sure to switch the returned value of the business rule to Boolean, and we can now use it in a form rule. As you can probably guess, this business rule will return true if the day is a working date and false if the entered date is not a working day. The next step is to create a new form rule and use our new business rule inside it. It wants its parameter now, so we can tell it what form field we want to check, if we have one in mind at this point, or we can just create another date parameter and use that as a placeholder instead. When the user chooses a non-working day, the rule will return false, and in such a case, we want to notify the user about this and also clear the value from the field. Setting the field value to empty also counts as a value change, and I want to avoid triggering my onValueChange form rule multiple times. So to do this, I add onto my condition and make it so in order to trigger this form rule, the field has to be different than empty. Feel free to add this rule to any form field that you want to check, just make sure to set the parameter to that form field. And then it's ready to go. This exercise and many like it are covered during the Webcon Academy course. Click on the link to learn more about our basic and advanced courses.